And so the first question goes to Lewis. Obviously, we know generative AI is the big thing today, but what comes next? What do you see for 2025, 2026, and what will will it have on the skills needed to land a job in AI? I think you're on mute currently.
Okay, thank you. Great question, Jacob. Yeah, no, I definitely generative AI is still just being born, so it still has a lot of development to go, and it's I would say three things. One is tool usage, the other one is multimodality, and the third one would be kind of combining it with reinforcement learning. So let me go over each one very quickly. We know that these models hallucinate a lot. So RAG is one of the things that basically the model, instead of answering the question with what it knows, it goes and searches in a database and comes back. That's the first example of tool usage, right? Where you can, for example, if you have an equation, you go look at it in the calculator instead of trying to answer it like that. So if you can combine, instead of just having text in, text out, but having it go into the apps, doing things for you, that's sort of the next level. Because right now we just copy paste the text or follow instructions. That's one. Then multimodality is the other one, because as you said, the models are text in, text out, and we learn with images, we learn with voice, we learn with movies, and then we produce the same things. So if the model will just be more multimodal and have inputs in every possible way and outputs in every possible way, and it won't even know what kind of type of input it is, because it'll have the knowledge really well done. And the last one, I think if we combine it with reinforcement learning, then we can actually combine it with objects, right? So you can give orders to things at home, and it just won't be text. So those are three things I see, but I'm excited for like what comes next. And in terms of the skills, I would say if people know, the things like technicalities of like how to code, all this stuff may still be around, but not so popular. I think anybody who understands how these models work and can prompt them well this can be pretty valuable. So prompt engineering and all those kind of related fields where you understand the model deeply and how to get it to do what you want is going to be very useful.
I would like to ask Dr. Rao that lately we have seen that computer science being a hot and favorite field for engineering students to pursue their careers in. But with the recent developments we have seen in artificial intelligence, do you think that AI skills could be more relevant than CS or IT skills in the future?
Yeah, a good question, Soumya. I think the challenge we all have is we don't replace something, we actually build on something, right? So again, the way I would think about it is, yes, computers have been around at least since the 1950s, and obviously over the past couple of decades have basically become permeated every aspect of our life, whether it is sort of your laptops or then, of course, your mobiles and sensors and so on. So I don't see that computer revolution going away, right? So we are all talking about digital revolution, IoT revolution. I think the way to think about it is waves of innovation. So waves of digital. There are a number of waves of digital that I typically talk about, and AI is another wave in that same process. And Lewis was just mentioning about the generative AI. Generative AI is yet another wave, or probably the most recent wave. And as you were saying, it's not going to stop there. There are going to be more and more waves. And the wave is a good analogy, because by the time one wave comes, even before you see the full force, another wave is already forming. And as one recedes, the other is sort of in full-fledged, right? So it actually goes that way. So to me, it's not just that AI is now, quote unquote, very popular. We don't have to worry about CS or computer science. I would think what's been happening over the past decade, I would say, is the convergence of three primary things. So one is computer science, software engineering, computer science. The second is data. Data plus data engineering, how do you use data, structured, unstructured, various kinds of modalities that we just talked about. How does data and the software code work together, right? So those are two. Now, what we're also seeing is the third element of that, building machine learning models, AI models. So all three are coming together. When I say all three are coming together, a machine learning model alone is, I would say, pretty useless or has very limited use if it is not embedded with a broader computer software, whether if it's not using data and continuously learning. So data, software, AI models all go together. And that convergence is what you are seeing. And that's happening not just in the core technical aspects. It's happening when you start with the business scoping side. It is happening when you operationally bring the two together, right? So yes, you need the AI ML model, but that's embedded in your customer software system or your Salesforce system or your ERP system. It is embedded there, and it needs the data. So that's operational. But then also after that, so how do you monitor it? How do you refine it? How do you replace it? All of that is also happening at the end. So it's convergence of those three, and also convergence happening at different stages of the life cycle. And that's what AI engineering is about. It's sort of not just AI, it's taking data, it's taking software, merging and mushing everything together within the process, the people, the technology, all of that are changing to accommodate all these three. So that's the way I would view. So it's definitely computer science will be there, but it'll be looked upon within the newer light of AI, ML models and data.
Thank you, sir.
And I think your answer, Professor Rao, is a fantastic segue into our next question. Obviously, here we have a lot of future students, and they want to know, what comes next. And so the next and last question, which will be for both of you, is how far are we into the journey for AGI, or artificial general intelligence? And how do you see engineering teams of the future working with AGI? And we can start with Lewis on this one, if it's okay.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like right now it's more important to see these things as tools. I feel like if we can, like with most of machines, we use, excuse me, we use them as tools, and we can direct what we want and get them to help us. So that's a completely different question as to what it is to build AGI. I do think we are in the way of building something resembling AGI, and I think these are just my thoughts. But anything that's rational in our thinking, I see no stopping AI from from doing that better than us. I may be wrong, but I think that everything of rational thinking, science, math. I mean, we've seen it with chess and all these things. The computers can do it better. When it comes to AGI, then there's a lot of other questions that come in my head, and there's a lot of other things that a human can do that I don't believe a computer can. For example, empathy. Those and any kind of anything along the lines of what we call the soft skills, but in reality are the hard skills, are emotional quotient, and those kind of things are much harder for a computer. And if we include those as AGI, I don't think we'll ever get there. But if we include IQ as AGI, then computers are either there or a couple of years away from that. So those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear what Dr. Rao's thoughts are.
Yeah, no, thanks for that question. It's a great question. It'll probably take another hour to discuss, or even more. But as Luis was saying, I think to me the quest for AGI is like a mirage. It looks tantalizingly close, and everyone claims that, and we're just on the verge, right? So is it today at maybe 11 o'clock Eastern time we'll have AGI, maybe tomorrow, or maybe next year, or maybe for another 70 years we might still be here. I may not be here, but we might still be talking about AGI. Just to remind everyone, AI has been around for just slightly less than 70 years, right? 68 years or so. And I've been in this area for 40 years, so 38 years plus I've been in this area. There's always, every generation comes and says, oh, we got it, right? So you guys were wrong. We got it. We are there. Now, this is just, I see as just one other iteration. So artificial general intelligence, it's sort of portrayed as if this is a new thing. And now just go back to the 1956, people there also started with general intelligence. No one wanted to build narrow intelligence. The general purpose problem solver, GPS, from here in CMU was very much around giving general purpose problem solving, as its name was. It was the original GPS before we all know as a global positioning system. It was the general purpose problem solver. Yes, the reason why they went other directions is because they really couldn't solve it. Now, there's a very interesting paper where DeepMind actually tries to define the different levels of AGI. So if you haven't seen, I would encourage you to see it on arXiv. And they give level 0 to level 5 as the different levels of AGI. Level 0 is no AI, and then level 2, I believe, is the emerging AI. And we are pretty much at that emerging AI level is where we are, and then we still have a number of levels to go. So I would say still far off. Some of the things that we are talking about will come about. I think Lewis mentioned a few of those. All of those things will come in, plus the good old-fashioned AI will merge with what we are talking about as generative AI. And to me, it's sort of almost a futile exercise to go after something which we can't define. We can't define intelligence. So artificial intelligence was defined, but again, we couldn't really agree on intelligence. So we just sort of created narrow intelligence. Now we have artificial general intelligence. There's nothing wrong with artificial or general. The problem is in the intelligence and everyone agreeing to it. And even if we achieve it, not everyone will agree that we achieved it. And it may not be a point in time that we would achieve it. It may be very general. So systems are getting better and better. So I would say, let's just focus on what is here today, and then how do we improve this one step at a time towards the right direction. In that note, I would agree very much with what Luis was saying. I think there is an excessive focus on beating humans. And the benchmarks you see, oh, we are 95% better than humans or better than the expert human. I think what we should really be focusing our attention on, how can we use AI, AGI to make humans better, the combination of humans plus AI should actually be much better than either one on their own, right? So we don't want to just make AI, which is beating us all the time. Rather, what we want to do is we want to grow as well with the AI. And that's how technology has been perceived all along. I don't think we should change that kind of trajectory of using AI as tools for us to become better with the tools, right? So not exclusive of the tools, but with the tools. So that's where I would focus. And to answer your question around the engineering, I think that's where people should be devoting their time on how to do that from a business perspective. And I know Anil mentioned earlier, to solve some of the problems, really vexing problems that AI alone cannot solve, humans alone cannot solve, because there's so much of data and complexity in the world today. Can we get the AI, but use our intuition to solve some of those problems? That's the way I would think of the next generation, using AI or AGI or whatever I that you want to have there, but sort of solving the problems together, as opposed to AI beating us and so on, or working in that area. So I know we are over, so I'll just stop here.